All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Chris,
My name's Cameron.
and this is SolarEdge Night Mode, your after hours happy hour for solar enthusiasts and solar professionals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's great to see you once again.
It's nice to be here
I hope
once
you had a
again.
happy 4th.
I did.
Wonderful.
I went down to Southern California, had a great
Mhm.
time, spent some time with the family, enjoyed some fireworks, drank some beers. It
Nice, very
was
good.
good times to be had by all.
Nice. Now that I am living down off the hill out in Sacramento, now I can actually have fireworks. So we actually went out and bought some fireworks for the first time this year, and it was a lot of fun. It was
Nice.
very cool, yeah.
Very awesome. So,
Yeah.
what are we drinking today?
So this week, I'm going to be drinking from Fall River Brewing.
Okay.
Let's just cut over here. The Numb and Number. This is the double version of the Num Num Juice, and it's a lovely hazy IPA from our friends up in Redding, California. And yourself?
I'm drinking Dragon's Milk. It's a bourbon barrel aged stout, so it's definitely a higher octane than
Yeah.
I'm typically used to, but I'm excited. So I love bourbon barrel stouts and bourbon barrel porters. I think my favorite is probably from Deschutes Brewery, Black Beet Porter.
Ooh,
They had a
good call,
25th
yeah.
anniversary. Fantastic. So I do. I am looking forward to this brew.
Right on. Well, cheers. This is like the one time I get to drink beer in the 2 weeks leading up to my birthday this year.
So
I'm trying to be good to myself and eat healthy and get exercise before I go into my next year.
So what are our wives doing today?
Well, we should always say drink responsibly, and if you are enjoying frosty beverages, please make sure you are doing so responsibly. Sadly, our wives are not together this week.
No?
My wife is decatting the house because she is a wonderful, wonderful person, and she loves to take care of me, and she's very kind. We have a cat. I also have cat allergies, and I have been feline terrible, so she's helping me out and decatting the house right now.
That is a terrible cat-based pun.
It is. You went straight catatonic on me.
2 for 2, awesome. I think my wife said something about going to take the kids to the library, but they were having trouble getting in. Apparently, the library is overbooked.
Yeah. Oh.
Just too many books.
Oh God. Overbooked. Oh Lord.
All right.
Oh,
So let's get to it.
Okay.
We're
so
talking about generators this
we
week.
are talking about generators this week, and I know this is near and dear to your heart because you are one of the project managers of the SolarEdge Home products here in North America.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
I've been working on the SolarEdge Home product line for the last 7 years, and that includes the development of the backup interface, the SolarEdge Home battery, all the generator capabilities that have grown over the years. And we just published our new white paper that has the new graphics. We updated our graphics a little bit to be a little easier to understand. I work in AutoCAD a lot, so I understand AutoCAD and what it looks like and how to use it. But the general person has some difficulties. So we tried to refresh the images and make it just super simple and easy to understand.
Very cool. And I will be dropping the link to that in the comments of the YouTube video, and I'll drop that into chat a little bit later after I start you on a topic. But I used to work in the auto electric industry, and my idea of generators is a little bit different from what, say, a PV person might see as a generator. So let's just establish right off the bat, what we see as generators.
Sure. So when you think of a generator, what is in your mind's eye?
So that would be like any device that takes mechanical energy and converts it over to electric energy.
Sure.
So say like an alternator.
Yeah.
So you've got rotors, you've got coils, you've got magnetics, just anything that's moving a conductor through a magnetic field to generate electricity.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And
well, because I've been in the solar industry for so long, when I think of generator, I definitely think of the pull start generators. Whether we were working on a job site that didn't have power yet, we would use our portable generator, start it up to power our power tools, our batteries, recharge our batteries, etc. And then, like as I got further along into the industry, it was definitely whole home generators for whole home backup and how to protect your largest asset, which is your home. And generator plus battery plus PV is always a good idea, and there's been people that have been doing it for years for off-grid homes. And I think with the more frequent power outages and the more frequent disasters and severe weather that is happening across the country these days, I think more people are getting generators because it's a lower cost of entry for backup to your home,
Absolutely,
etc. And some of them are just like a little bit easier to do. Like Puerto Rico is a great example. Just generators are available everywhere, and so that's why people are getting them. So that's what I think of when I think of generators. Definitely something that you pull out of your shed and use it to power something.
Absolutely. It is like a necessity for anybody that has any type of unstable grid or anybody that's in, a storm-prone area. Hearts going out to all of our friends out there in Texas. We love you all. Hope you all are safe. And yeah. But yeah, I like living up in the hills. One of the reasons that I ended up moving down off the hill, besides a fire danger, was we would frequently have power safety shutoffs, or in the winter the power would go out. And my first backup system was that pull start generator, that just little 2,000 watt generator that would power my computer, power the TV, a few lights, and then the refrigerator.
Yeah, and what's interesting, I think now is what my perception of a generator is starting to change a little bit. I think of just backup systems now. Like I really like those small portable battery systems, like the Jackery or the Anchor.
Oh yeah, they're great.
I've seen a lot of festivals start to like tents using this to run like small portable supplies, like a cotton candy making machine or something like that. And I'm just impressed with their ability to have so much energy density in a very quiet, very portable device.
And that's kind of the key right there, is the quiet, especially when you're in an outdoor situation, because, when I first started off, I got that generator, and then we upgraded to one of the larger battery units just to run the fridge when the power went out for a little while. Those things are great. They're super quiet. They're very portable. They're a little bit heavy, but I mean, you don't have to hear ba 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 the entire time, which, in an outdoor situation, say you're camping or something like that, is really, really important.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's funny when you see that advertisement. Oh, it's the Whisper Quiet 7500, and you can hear that thing a mile away. I'm like, okay, whisper is very subjective, I guess. Is it a sleeping giant whisper? Like, what kind of whisper are we talking about here?
It meets national park regulations for just under the amount of decibels that it's allowed to make. Yeah. But moving on from that, we've got, you've got the hybrid inverters, which are kind of like these slightly larger inverters, which are, these 1,500, 7,500 watt monstrosities that you kind of have to wheel out. They're great. Like I see them a lot in Florida, that can power your house pretty darn well for the most part. And they'll run on propane or gas.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's take a second. Let's just identify the different types of portables and just kind of level set the words that we're using. Because I think when we talk about generators, the words are important.
Yeah.
So when I say portable generator, I think that's exactly what you're talking about. Anything you can wheel out of your garage, a storage unit, whatever. And it usually, not always, usually has a pull cord on it. Some of them are just a little start button.
Yeah.
But it is designed to be stored and then pulled out and used later. Okay. And then when I think of generators, I think of stationary generators, and those are typically what I call like whole home generators.
Yeah.
And those are your bigger pad-mounted generators that are typically somewhere between 14 and 24 kilowatts. All right. And like the most common, I think, are manufactured by like Kohler or Generac or Briggs and Stratton. And then I think about the grid quality generators. And those are for like your microgrids. You have a college campus that's can and operate independently of the bulk grid. Those generators are in a class of their own, and not generally used by, homeowners trying to provide backup power, but are usually used, like I said, by campuses or
military bases, hotels,
that are providing critical resources to those in need. And so those are kind of the three levels that I think about in generators. And so if you hear me use a word that may not be correct, in general, when I say portable generator, I'm talking about like 7.5 kilowatts and below. And I say whole home generator, I'm usually talking about 14 to 24 kilowatts. And then we probably won't discuss microgrids today in commercial systems.
We'll leave that aside.
We'll just do
that's a little bit outside of our sphere, because our sphere, once we start talking about these mid-sized to larger generators, you start moving into the 240-volt generators, and that's where it becomes exciting for a lot of the equipment that we are manufacturing.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah, and it's important to note that there's a lot of great small 120-volt generators out there. That's not designed to work with most homes in backup. That's generally designed to go directly to your load, right? So you're going to plug in your phone, you're going to plug in your refrigerator or whatever. You're going to plug something into that device and not really plug that device into your electrical panel, right? And so I think that's the key difference there that a lot of people may not realize.
And I think it's important that we talk, when we mention anything about generators, we should always state that you should use your generators safely. I know we always talk about responsibly, but in this case, it's very, very important to be very safe, not just for your own sake, like because you don't want to be pushing power to the grid and then having everybody overspin your generator and have it go poof.
Yeah.
But whenever you're running a generator, you want to make sure that you have a means of disconnection from the grid. And the reason you want to have that is you don't want to be pushing power back to the grid and have some poor linesman who's trying to fix the situation get hurt because they're not expecting power on the lines.
Right. Let's expand on this.
Yeah.
So what are the best ways to get your generator connected to your electrical panel? Let's say you have a 240-volt generator. Even sans SolarEdge or any solar equipment, what is the fastest and easiest way to get your generator connected to the panel?
Well, I think we were joking the other day about things that we've seen out in the field, which are fast and easy, but may not be the most code compliant versions. And I think you've got a really, really good example.
Yeah. So I was working at my parents' house, and I quickly wired a 240-volt outlet on the outside of the house so I could run a welder. And I was doing some work out in the yard, welding up a fence, a pool fence for them.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm working out there, and basically one day I was driving by my parents' old house. They had sold it, and I saw a person plug in their generator into that outlet. Right? And so I think there's a clear distinction that a generator, a proper plug should have one male and one female. Now this plug had two male sides in it. So it's something that they made themselves. I call that the party plug. And the reason this is dangerous, because you can plug in one side to either the panel or the generator, and the other side can be hot. And that is very dangerous, which is why we never do that. So in general, when you have a generator plug on your house, it is a kind of encased male plug, and then you plug the female into your house.
Yeah.
Now that plug should always be behind a very low-cost safety device called a generator interlock kit.
Yeah.
And
super simple.
Super simple. All you got to do is Google your electrical panel part number, and then followed by interlock kit. And basically all it does is it is a piece of metal that makes it so if your generator is on and providing power to your home, your main circuit breaker has to be off. So it intertwines the two devices. And if the main circuit breaker is on and you're getting power from the grid, the generator breaker is locked off. And so that prevents the generator from feeding the electrical grid, because you know what happens when you overspin your generator.
It suddenly makes it's how you make your generator sound like a dog. It suddenly goes woof.
It rapidly disassembles.
Ah, yes, rapid unplanned disassembly, my favorite engineering term.
So you really don't want to do that. And backfeeding a generator is also very bad, which is why in general most generators don't operate congruently or at the same time as PV plus storage systems.
Yeah.
So we really have to be careful about how we use our generators with our solar backup systems.
Okay, just a quick shout out. Hey, Optivio, how you doing? Chaz, good to see you back. Mark, good to see you. Michelle, Ali, great to see you all here. Had a couple of questions. Chaz wants to know, does SolarEdge have plans to create a battery pack or UPS?
So we do have a battery bank.
Yeah.
It's a whole home battery bank. It's designed to be integrated into the home's electrical wiring. Like that's kind of the distinction. It is not designed to be a portable battery bank. So, and yes, we used to make UPSs. We had a company called Gamatronics that we purchased. They made UPSs, and the difference between a battery bank and a UPS and really transfer system is the speed in which you transfer backup power. And a UPS stands for uninterruptible power supply, and it means you transfer within one cycle. So 1/60th of a second, a 60 hertz cycle. So our backup systems don't do that today. We can program our system to do a fast transition. It takes about 2 or 3 cycles. So you might notice like a little blip in your lights. Your Wi-Fi router will still stay on, and you can program our system to do that. But to answer your question, I think we stopped making UPSs, and no, we don't have eyes on a portable battery bank at this time, but who knows? We make a lot of batteries, and it makes sense. Who knows? We'll see.
See here, Trevor was seeing me turn around a little bit, and he says, just got yourself a Forrest Gump haircut. Thank you very much. Yes, I did. For those of you who are too old or were born after Forrest Gump was produced, this is what we're looking at right here. So thank you very much, Trevor. Appreciate that a whole lot. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh, Mark, perfect. What types of I can't talk right now. My gosh.
Oh no.
I'm having difficulty. That's the Forrest Gump thing through me. Thanks, Trevor. Mark wants to know, what kind of auto transfer switches are we compatible with?
Oh, that's great. That's a great question.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about third-party transfer switches.
Yeah.
So let's say you bought your Kohler system, you bought your Generac system, whatever it is. It's a third-party transfer switch. We always recommend that you install your PV Plus storage system on the supply side of your third-party transfer switch. And I say third-party because it's not a SolarEdge product. So I would say you install SolarEdge on the supply side of whatever your generator transfer switch is. So when you do that, you should always consider programming your generator for a little delay start. So you give the PV Plus storage system a chance to kick on and provide backup power when the grid goes down. That will continue to operate. Once the battery depletes itself, the voltage signal is then lost. Then your generator's transfer switch will sense that voltage loss. The solenoid will fire, and the generator will start. So it'll separate your PV Plus storage system from your generator system, and your generator will operate. And then the next morning the sun rises, the batteries will charge, and then once they have enough energy, they will resume solar energy. And so you'll be able to go back and forth between generator and batteries, no problem. So in regards to that method of interconnection, we are compatible with any transfer switch. Like you can do any transfer switch kind of in that scenario. If you're plugging your generator into the backup interface, which is a more compelling idea because you're saving the cost of a transfer switch, then we are compatible with automatic generators that automatically start-stop if they have a dry contact switch, or they allow start-stop on a dry contact switch. Now, I think anything in the Guardian series allows this. It's a little more difficult, just from the standpoint of you need a specialty wire harness. You have to have a generator-approved technician out to program it because it's locked behind a password. And then you have to get approval from your manufacturer to do the Generac makes the Guardian series. So it's a little more difficult with them, but with Kohler or Briggs or Stratton, native in the menu, you can program a dry contact switch to start and stop the generator. And so if you set the inverter and the backup interface to automatic mode, SolarEdge will use the backup interface to automatically start and stop the generator when the batteries deplete or when they resume solar production. So you can go back and forth using batteries and generator all day long, so long as there's, so long as you need. But that doesn't work for everybody. Some people don't have like whole home generators on a pad that support automatic start stop. Some people have manual generators, right? And that's like Puerto Rico, right? So that's not a transfer switch. We can get into that a little bit later, unless you had more comments about whole home generators.
No, but I will say that if you go on the website, and you can always email Night Mode at SolarEdge.com if you're looking for this white paper, and we can send it over to you directly, or if you're looking for some SLDs.
Can we put it in the description?
Yeah, I will put it in the description following the show.
Okay.
Now that we've got the link. But this white paper basically will give you every different configuration that we're kind of looking at and talking about today. Yeah. And it will also give you steps to set everything up with the software as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's talk about manual mode.
Yeah.
Because I think manual mode is interesting.
Okay.
So with manual mode, that's when you have a portable generator that does not have automatic start stop, or maybe you have a whole home generator that's just older and doesn't have automatic start stop, or you can't figure out how to make it work. You can always program it to manual mode. Yeah. And how the buoy behaves or the backup interface behaves in manual mode is when the generator turns on and we sense the voltage, we isolate the inverter electrically from the backup system, and the batteries will charge, but the generator will provide power to the home. Now, the only bad part about manual mode is currently today, and this is a thing I'm trying to resolve, but today, if you're in manual mode and you start using the generator, you have to wait until the grid is restored before you can resume solar plus battery production. So that is the one caveat, I think, that makes it a little more difficult. So I always tell people, only use that generator if you have to. If like you're running low on life support and you're like, I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and start this generator up, that's when you do it.
And I think that's going to cover most people in most situations. Typically what's going to happen is power may go out, and you might have to wait overnight for them to fix the situation, but by the time you wake up in the morning, it's already fixed.
Yeah, exactly. And when the sun comes up the next morning, the batteries are already charging, you're already getting power from solar plus storage. So very rarely do you have to run the generator. Where I see it happen the most is in places where there's a time of use market. And so like California is a great example. In PG&E territory, we get the power safety shutoffs. But in the summertime, you really want to discharge all of the energy out of your battery. We're incentivized to do so, right? And so between the times of, 6 and 8 p.m., we're dumping energy out of our batteries. And so now your batteries are at zero. And then they have a power safety shut off. And you're like, oh, no, I don't have any energy. And so then you run your generator to provide yourself some backup power until the grid is restored. So that is when I see summertime, time of use windows. That's when I see it as a problem. But like you said, everywhere else, it really is a corner case, and you're probably not going to ever experience a negative impact of having to run your generator.
And that kind of brings us on to automatic mode, because we've been talking about these whole home backup systems and connecting that 2-wire stop start to the generator.
Yeah.
Just to turn that thing off and on. Give us a little bit more detail about automatic mode and what we can expect from that.
Yeah. Okay. So I love this because it took me so. Guys, I can't stress this enough. Generators are hard. Syncing your sine wave to be able to charge your battery from a generator is really hard to do, especially when you're trying to be compatible with every generator. So how SolarEdge does it today is we have, like you said, automatic start stop. So if the battery gets depleted, we tell the generator to start. And the generator will provide power to your backup loads, and the next morning when the sun comes up, the batteries will start to charge. And we have it right now programmed to an 88% threshold of charge. So when the battery gets up to 88% state of energy, we tell the generator to stop. So the generator turns off, and then we resume solar plus storage. And our rationale is we want the batteries to get as full as possible with as much sunlight as we can before we resume solar plus storage backup. So that way, the next night, the following night, you don't have to run your generator, and you get kind of a quiet mode, if you will. So it's a functional aspect of backup with a generator. It does the thing you need to do, but there are some variances that we're trying to fix. And most notably, the question I get every time is, can I charge the battery from the generator? And at this point in time, the answer is no. I would love to say yes, but the answer is no. And we are working to resolve that.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Elle wants to know, do you have a video that shows how to set up Generac generators? No, we don't. We have the video for how to do the wiring on the SolarEdge thing part of things, but as far as the Generac side of things, we don't want to give out their super secret squirrel code to get into their equipment. But we've had a video internally for SolarEdge folks so they know what the process looks like for you. But that is not something that is public facing because we don't want to publish anything that is Generac centric on our channel because that's strictly up to them.
That's up to them.
The one thing that you do want to note very specifically with the Generac generators is that there is a specific harness that you have to wire the thing up. And that's the big important thing.
Yeah.
And so make sure that you're looking at your wiring diagrams for your Generacs, and then make sure you know the super secret squirrel code to get in there. Because
is that the technical super secret squirrel?
Well, I think when we talk about backup systems, particularly when we're talking about like DC folks who are now working with AC and backup systems, it's a whole new level of trade knowledge because a lot of DC guys, the most exposure you're going to get is like, oh, I installed some CTs or I installed a breaker. Maybe you derate a panel. Maybe that's like the most that folks have seen like prior to the last 5 or so years. But, with the release of more backup systems, now we're installing breakers, we're moving loads from a main panel over to a sub panel. And a lot of the DC guys, you may have had that knowledge before, but it gets rusty very, very quickly when, you're just hanging inverters on the wall all the time. So most of the installation mistakes we've seen are on the AC side. So whenever you see like folks like Generac or ourselves or LG or Tesla or any of the big players in the market requiring certifications, it's not because we're trying to make you jump through hoops. It's because we want you to be successful. And we want to make sure that you understand what you're going to go through when you're installing these more sophisticated systems.
I guess the hardest part too is like if you're a solar guy and you're installing a generator, you have to call a generator guy. Yeah. To your point, right? And so to program the generator and to get the wire harness that you need for Generac, you have to call a generator certified technician to be able to do these things. And because those generator installer guys are not familiar with every solar system under the sun, they may not understand how it works or how it needs to be programmed. So there is a little bit of a gap and kind of pointing fingers when things don't work. And so it's always important to, if you're a solar installer and you're interested in doing what's right for your customers, make sure you have a good generator guy that you can trade some business with and
100% agree.
Yeah, collaborate with on these interesting backup systems.
Ultimately, it will save you a lot more money in the long run.
Yeah.
You'll build some good relationships, help cross-promote and share customers. It's a great way to build your business and build success. Jeff says, I love what you said on the other podcast about, SolarEdge folks just have to know one manufacturer's worth of stuff, whereas solar installers have to know all of the things. And you mentioned that earlier. It's like, as a solar installer, you have to know not just SolarEdge, but you have to know all the different manufacturers, which is a lot of knowledge. In addition to that, trying to take on generators is just
It's a lot.
that's a lot of knowledge to acquire.
Yeah. And I have no misgivings or ideas that people are exclusive to SolarEdge. Like if you're doing business, you're probably using a couple of vendors, and you probably have like a high tier, a medium tier, and a low tier, right? And SolarEdge is hopefully somewhere in the top tier of those two. And so if that's your offering, you're also offering, I probably understand these generators, and it's just like you said, I have to understand all of these inverters and how they work and how their MIDs work and how their batteries work, and then I have to understand all these generators and how they work, and it's a lot, man.
Yeah, Owen's saying, as much as I love you, I have to diversify my business.
Yes.
And that's you don't want to over specialize, and then that's a very, very good thing to do. So whether you're like primarily one manufacturer or the other, it's always a good idea to diversify what you're selling.
The good news about this format is we're allowed to say what we want. So yes, absolutely. I mean, I've worked for SolarEdge for almost 11 years now, and I'll be the first person to tell you, you probably shouldn't use SolarEdge as your exclusive products.
I love our product, but from a business standpoint, yes, it's always good to diversify, not just because, I would love to say just buy SolarEdge. That would be fantastic, but
we keep it real.
Yeah.
We keep it real. We know what's up.
Okay, let's see here. I saw that there's a generator webinar tomorrow. What are you guys going to be covering?
I think generator webinar is going strictly over technical details of how to wire the generator to the backup interface, where to wire it, how to program the automatic start-stop, automatic mode versus manual mode. So it's more of the technical details. This is pretty much a loose, free-flowing format where we get to generally talk about generators.
Yeah, this is a little bit... Well, this is a happy hour, so we're just hanging out with folks. But tomorrow we'll be doing the more formal go through and talk about this in a very rigid format. We'll have videos for you to show. It's great because I get to leave the entire setup here and I don't have to tear everything down. But we're going to actually be going through, showing you videos of actually wiring everything up, providing you with links, providing you with white papers, going through. There will be a PowerPoint.
Yeah.
There will be no beer. There will be no beer. Not at 10 o'clock in the morning. No. Not even on vacation. All right. Let's see here. Any other questions? Let's see here. Luke wants to know, so there's no means of connecting a backup interface to a 120-volt generator?
I'm sorry, no.
No.
That's a flat out no. One thing I did that I saw recently, have you seen these GenerLink meter collar things?
Oh, yeah, those things are cool.
Yeah, so that's another way you can connect a generator to your house. It's a meter collar. So it's a device that sits behind the utility billing meter. So usually the utility company has to allow you to install this device, or they will install it for you.
Yeah.
But basically it's just got an outlet on the bottom of it. And you wheel out your generator and you plug it in to the bottom of this meter collar, and it isolates you from the grid and then provides power to your panel, so you don't have to wire in a breaker or an outlet. It's pretty simple and easy to install.
Okay.
And it automatically transfers away, which is kind of cool.
Jason wants to know, if I do run into a problem with a third-party ATS, what is your advice?
Well, if you are running into a problem with a third party, so a non-SolarEdge transfer switch, you should be working with a generator guy. I don't know. I know fundamentally how the transfer switch works, and generator transfer switches are a lot different than solar transfer switches. So we use the word MID, which is microgrid interconnection device, and it's solely based on the fact that our transfer switches are specifically grid interactive. So we have to interact with the grid, so we get it certified to UL 1741. A generator transfer switch is just that. It is a transfer switch, and it is specifically not grid interactive. So it has a voltage sensor connected to a solenoid. And when the voltage drops, the sensor tells the solenoid to fire, and it transfers power away from the grid and then just runs the generator to provide backup power. So that's what tells the generator to start up. Now, I think if there's a problem with the generator starting, the first thing to check is the 12-volt battery. If it's a whole home generator, first thing to check is that 12-volt battery. That's probably dead. The second thing to check is, has the maintenance been performed? Did they do an oil change? Like, when was the last time they checked the generator? The third thing to check, or I guess maybe the second thing to check, is the fuel supply. Do they have propane? Do they have natural gas? Do they have the fuel in the generator? And then the third thing to check is like the oil. Like, has the generator been maintained? Is it operable? Try to manually start it, see if you can get it fired up. If that's not possible, then definitely call a generator guy.
My suggestion, if you've ever got an issue where you're trying to make things work and you're just running into a brick wall, get your as-builts, get your SLDs, get them in digital format, and then send them into support with as much detail as you possibly can. Support's going to look at it, say, nope, and they're going to hand it off to Tier 2. Tier 2 is probably going to hand it off to you.
Yeah, probably.
But probably.
Probably.
But, or Tier 3. They're very, very good about it. But the one thing that is super critical is making sure you have those SLDs.
Yep.
Because that's the first thing that we're going to ask for if you don't have them, because we need to see how everything is wired to get our orientation and figure out how things are going.
That's right.
You were talking about setting a delay
Yeah.
on the generator whenever you're starting it up.
That's right.
Yeah. So tell me that again.
Yeah. So when you have a third-party transfer switch, when the grid goes down and you have not programmed fast transition for SolarEdge, SolarEdge will resume production in 2 to 3 seconds. This is enough time to tell the generator to start. And you don't want the solar system and the generator to fight each other. So I generally say program a 10 to 30 second, maybe even 90-second delay start on the generator. So you give time to the PV plus storage system to energize the panel and produce energy. And that could be like any inverter manufacturer should be able to do this. So if it's a Enphase or a Tesla or Franklin or Point Guard or SolarEdge, anyone should be able to do this style of configuration with the third-party transfer switch. And it's always just a better idea to go into the main menu of the generator, program a delay start, and my general recommendation is based on the transfer time. And so for SolarEdge, it's 10 seconds because we say, yeah, we transfer within less than 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But there's some caveats there. But anyway, so that's my general recommendation. So no one's going to miss 10 seconds of energy. It is a better user experience, so you don't have generators and PV plus storage systems like fighting one another. So that's why I say delay start.
Great. And if you have more questions or you want to know a little bit more about any specific topic, make sure to email us at nightmode@solaredge.com, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. Obviously, it's not for support, but if you've got a question about any of the topics that we've been discussing here, we're more than happy to discuss that with you and answer your questions. Or if you're looking for a white paper, an SLD, something like that, feel free to hit us up and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
If you need support, call support.
Yeah. Because we're checking the email, but it's not like we're not checking it like every hour on the hour. It's more like every other day or so we're checking that inbox. So if you're sitting there on site, like, why isn't Night Mode getting back to me? You're probably going to be waiting a little while. But let's see here. What video board is that? And I love watching you forget to switch from yourself. So yes, I've actually got my screen up here that should be showing me what's going on and what camera is actually live at the time. And occasionally you'll see me like sitting here like reading questions going, oh, like this is really cool. And then you'll see me like, oh my gosh, I see my face right there and I need to switch back over to cam. But this is the Blackmagic A10 Mini. They also make, this one's got the 8 ports on it. They also make a 4-port one. These things, if you are doing any type of just like really simple broadcasting, are really worth their weight in gold. They are super inexpensive, particularly like the 4-port one, and they can do a lot of really cool stuff. So highly advise getting one of these. They are super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. Other questions? I'm curious about what would happen if you used an UPS to smooth the power you receive from your system to run something that couldn't have downtime. Typically, in those situations, your UPS is going to be directly connected to that device, particularly like you mentioned, like emergency stuff. So if you've got a medical device, you want to make sure that that medical device is on its own dedicated UPS.
Yep.
Our systems, even though they're very fast to go into backup when you program them that way, it's not suitable for medical devices.
Right.
And definitely need to have a UPS connected to that.
Yeah, so UPS is used for different things in general.
Mm-hmm.
A UPS is not designed for sustained power outages for a lot of electronics. Like you have a UPS under your desk to power maybe your computer and maybe a router. So your UPS is always on standby, ready to back something up, and then it's only going to power 1 or 2 devices. Nothing with a pump or a motor, variable frequency drive. That's why home batteries are a lot different. Like home batteries are designed for high LRA and being able to turn on these large devices, compressors, pumps, things like that. So there are 2 different applications. And so yes, a UPS would be great to help you transition. But when you go into backup, you still have to be able to provide like these large loads. And so those UPSs aren't really designed for that. They're for like discrete electronics, like dialysis machine, computers, servers, stuff like that. So they're kind of 2 different use cases. A more compelling thing is actually this using a large capacitor to help you get that transition done, because capacitors are relatively inexpensive, and you could use this like I've seen this like 1,000-watt capacitor that could just like bam, here's some instant energy to help you transition. That would be a little more compelling than a UPS to help you transfer.
I think we're just gonna have to get a new patent.
I guess really it also comes down to how much do you want to spend, and so we can make a UPS quality transfer device, but then it's exorbitantly cost, and not a lot of people are willing to pay the price for UPS transfer for their whole house. So that's also kind of a fundamental thing. Here's the dirty secret. Every single inverter manufacturer uses the same exact 200 amp relay in their MID. We all use the same exact one. There's only one, and we all use it.
Can I use a UPS or a generator to simulate the grid? No. So our systems are designed to, they're a grid interactive inverter. So when the grid goes out, they're designed to go out. No, you may not use a generator to simulate the grid for the inverter to fire it up. It's going to see that something's wrong. It's going to see frequency issues. It's going to see AC sine wave issues. It's going to know that nothing is working right. Beyond that, it's really, really, really important that you don't do that, because you don't want to be pushing electrons at each other. That's typically when things don't go well for the equipment.
Right, exactly. So the inverter is a grid following device, and when you go into backup mode, it becomes a grid forming device, right? And so if it sees a generator there, it's going to think the generator is the grid, and we're going to try to push electrons back into that generator. And again, we talked about rapid disassembly. That is a surefire way to ruin your generator. So that is why, if you have a third-party transfer switch, you never want the solar plus storage system on the load side of that third-party transfer switch. You always want it on the supply side of that third-party transfer switch. Now
beyond that, it's not supported, so you would void your warranty. Or if you suggested that to a customer, their system might be out of warranty, and that could be bad for you as an installation company. Right. It's not doing what's right for your customer, and it's not what's doing right for your business. So don't do that.
I'm gonna say I helped with a design for a compound in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful, like 4-building compound that had solar and batteries on all the buildings, and they had like an 80 kilowatt diesel generator providing power. And those really large kind of utility scale, not a utility scale, but really large scale generators, they usually have reverse current protection integrated into it.
Mm-hmm.
And so if the system was ever able to push electrons back to the generator is protected. So those devices, like if you get them on a smaller scale, they're still like $2,000 to $3,000. So it's a huge adder to protect your generator. So just like you said, in general, no, never use a generator or UPS to simulate the grid. It's going to just end up in disaster.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow, because tomorrow I don't have to do any of the talking. You get to handle all of the show. I just get to introduce things, hit like 2 buttons to go back and forth between you and a PowerPoint, back and forth, and then just relay questions to you. So my day is going to be nice and easy tomorrow.
Yeah.
Want to invite each and every one of you, 10 a.m. Pacific tomorrow. We're going to be doing a deep dive into all of the enhanced support for generators that has come out in the last 6 to 9 months for generators.
I think we said April 2024 was our latest update, so over a year now.
Okay.
And we just hadn't published the white paper changes, like with the updated graphics. Again, it was very confusing for a lot of our installers, so we just reconfigured the white paper, updated the graphics, and relaunched it. So find that in Knowledge Center and the link below, and we'll get it to you.
I'll put it in the description now that I've got the link. Thank you very much for sending that over. You can also find that in the latest edition of the Pulse that went out via email last week, and on the knowledge base of the website. So I want to thank each and every one of you for coming and enjoying us. Octavio, Chaz, Jesse, Jason, Owen, Michelle, everybody that's out there. I missed your name. I'll catch you next time. If you do have any questions, always feel free to hit us up on nightmode@solaredge.com. Feel free to send us your installation pictures. We would love to share what you're doing out there with everybody out on the internet.
Absolutely.
And help promote your company. So,
heck yeah.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
I'm Chris.
My name's Cameron.
Stay sunny.
And stay optimized.
See you later.